It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to the Friday version of the Travel and Cruise Industry News podcast. On this, the first day of September 2023, I'm coming to you actually from my cabin on the Sapphire Princess. We are in Glacier Bay National Park today, all day. This is one of those days where they have 3 or 4 of the park rangers come on board. One of them will be doing a monologue on the television, following the bow cam. They'll be in several places around the ship with information. So it's going to be a busy and enlightening day. Of course, I did a similar day last week with on the Nordam. So anyway, that's going to be what's happening today. So it'll be a busy day for me. Not a whole lot of news this morning. We do have, of course, weather to talk about. The Atlantic still looks awful, but looks like it's improving and should improve over the weekend. Pride of America returns to Maui is our top story this morning. An oil spill from the Epic and adjustments for the Tampa Bay cruises and lots more here at 11 o'clock this morning. I do hope, folks, that the signal holds up. I did a Facebook Live from my cabin, but I've tried to do this show from other points on the ship. And I thought this morning it might be just too busy and too loud to try to get that done. So I said, I'll just stay here and do it. And then I got to go to breakfast. So it's 7 o'clock in the morning here. Today, folks, is National Chianti Day. We have 2 days in a row that's a wine day. That's a little strange. Chianti is not my favorite. I'm not a big wine drinker anyway, but I tend to like things sweeter than Chianti. But there's plenty of Chianti on this ship, so I can probably celebrate today, sometime today, with a glass of Chianti, even though it's not my favorite. If you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Excuse me. I just searched for travel and cruise industry news, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. All of the big hitters have it. Doesn't matter if it's Podchaser or Google Podcast. Just search for travel and cruise industry news. If you're listening via the podcast and ever want to jump over to the video feed, there's always a link in the podcast so you can do just that. If you have not done so, please consider smashing that like button for me. That'll help the channel out a bunch. And if you haven't subscribed, please take this as my invitation to subscribe to this channel. We do this show 5 days a week, and then I'm posting videos, I'm posting interviews, and I'm doing all sorts of things. So, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. The bell notification will tell you when I go live or when a new video is posted. I'm in the process of posting right now as we speak my pizza review from the Nordam last week. Again, because the way my schedule has been this whole trip, I am so far behind. I'll be posting stuff for months from these 2 cruises. It's just amazing. But I'll get caught up eventually. All right, before we get to the couple news stories today, we got to look at the weather. So this is the Atlantic. Thankfully, there's nothing in the Pacific. But that looks like a traffic jam. That's awful. It's bad, but it's not as bad as it looks. And thankfully, there's not a whole lot of impact on land, although Bermuda's going to get a mess. But first, let's look at compact Jose, and it's gotten stronger. It's still expected to be absorbed by Franklin by tomorrow morning. I'm beginning to wonder about that. Currently, Jose, 750 miles east-northeast of Bermuda, 60-mile-an-hour winds. It's presently moving north at 18 miles an hour. Pressure is 997. So that's nothing to sneeze at. Gert regenerates into a tropical depression. Thought we were done with that one. It's about 635 miles east-southeast of Bermuda. Maximum sustained winds 35 miles an hour. Present movement east at 8. Minimum pressure is 1,008. Some slight strengthening is possible today, and Gert could become a tropical storm once again. Gradual weakening is forecast to begin over the weekend. Franklin, that's been out there, it seems like for weeks, is expected to become extratropical cyclone tonight, even taking in the other storm. I'm not all sure about this forecast, folks. But anyway, it's about 580 miles northeast of Bermuda. Maximum sustained winds 80 miles an hour. Present movement east-northeast at 18. Pressure is still 983. So Franklin is forecast to become an extratropical cyclone tonight. I hope that's correct. But again, other than all of these guys banging Bermuda, thankfully they're not in any major areas. Idalia, the storm that went across Florida, turns east-southeastward, expected to affect Bermuda this weekend. Currently, Idalia is 290 miles west of Bermuda. Maximum sustained winds 60 miles an hour. Present movement is the east-southeast at 16. Minimum central pressure is still 998. An east-southeastward to eastward motion at a much slower forward speed is expected during the next 24 hours. An east-northeastward motion is expected to begin over the weekend. Idalia will approach Bermuda over the weekend. Gradual weakening is forecast through early Saturday. Re-strengthening is possible over the weekend, and Idalia is expected to transition back to a tropical storm on Saturday. So, wow, the Atlantic is just screwed up. And then out there in the far eastern part, the eastern tropical Atlantic, showers and thunderstorms continue to show signs of organization and associated with an elongated area of low pressure located just west of Cabo Verde Islands. A short-lived tropical depression or tropical storm is expected to form today while the system moves northwestward at 10 to 15 miles an hour. They're talking about 90% chance of development in the next 48 hours and 90% chance in the next 7 days. So, I don't know. This looks to me like this could be a major storm developing. And they're saying, no, it's not. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens over the weekend, folks, because I'm not sure I agree with the National Hurricane Center on much of any of this. So I hope I'm wrong. That'd be awesome. All right, I'll be back with a couple news stories here, folks, after a quick break from one of our network sponsors. All right, so we get to talk about Norwegian. First, out in Hawaii. Norwegian Cruise Line is returning to Kahului, Maui next week when Pride of America visits the Hawaiian island. Cruise ship stopped visits to the island earlier this month due to the wildfires on the west side. This return comes with the guidance and encouragement of the governor and the Maui community. Pride of America has been sailing around Hawaii for 18 years and is the only major cruise ship that offers week-long cruises around Hawaii. And of course, in all fairness, folks, it's going to be years before Lahaina is ever back in the situation to have cruises go there again. But the other side of the island didn't get hit near as bad. So Kahului can take some tourists back now. So congratulations to Pride of America. All right, the Norwegian epic. This was a troubling story, but it's not as bad as the original story made it out to be. The cruise ship Norwegian Epic experienced an oil spill during the pumping out of oil residues at the port of Split in Croatia. The spill affected the sea and coastline, but immediate actions by the ship's crew and a specialized company contained the spill. The Ministry of the Sea, Transport and Infrastructure explained that the spill occurred during the oil residue pumping process from the cruise ship while it was docked at the outer berth at the port of Split. So they got it contained, they got it cleaned up. But of course, this is going to set the environmentalists off to complain about the cruise industry again. And folks, a lot of things, I'm an environmentalist too. But, now, goodness knows, I hate oil spills. But they handled it. It didn't get out of hand. So I tip my hat to not only to Norwegian, but also to the folks in Split that were able to assist and keep this from becoming a bad situation. And no, guys, don't blow this one out of the water. Still, I have some of the things I have to fight with every day is people that are still trying to down the cruise industry because we pollute the air. Well, yeah, but look at what the cruise industry is doing to change that. It takes time. So I think we're heading in the right direction myself. All right, that's going to end up the news report. No, it's not. I've got another story, don't I? Yeah, I do. Out in Tampa Bay, you know, we thought the port was going to get open yesterday, and it looked like the ships were moving into position. And well, they didn't open the port till 6:30 last night. So another day for the two ships out at sea with passengers that were supposed to have actually, disembarked yesterday. Serenade of the Seas is homeported in Tampa. Due to the flooding and local hazards after Hurricane Idalia, Port Tampa Bay remained closed for 36 hours after the storm's closest approach to Tampa, not reopening until nearly after 6 p.m. on Thursday, yesterday. Because of this, passengers on Serenade of the Sea's current sailing, which was to have ended on Thursday, are still on board the ship well outside of Tampa Bay. Rather than debarking on Thursday, the guests enjoyed an unexpected extension to their cruise and an extra day at sea. Royal Caribbean International has therefore shifted the embarkation for the next sailing to Friday, September the 1st. That's today, with a departure time of 4 p.m. Cruise line is contacting guests about the adjustments, which includes dropping the cruise only port of call. So it's going to be a cruise to nowhere and a day shorter. I mean, come on, folks. It was a hurricane. They couldn't get back to port. And yeah, I feel sorry for the people that, got screwed out of a day on the ship. They're going to make it worth their while. And the same thing happens with Carnival. Carnival Paradise will not be able to operate the next sailing, which was supposed to have been a departure yesterday as planned. But due to the late opening of Tampa Bay, the ship will offer a cruise to nowhere, giving guests on board several compensation benefits and offer a future. That is what is going to happen. And at least we're going to be back in business in Tampa today. All right. I don't know where that ad came from. All right. So now that's going to wrap up the news portion of today's show. Like I say, there wasn't a whole lot of news, which is fine because I got a busy day ahead. And, I need a nap too. I don't know if I'm going to get it today or not. The seas are calming down a little bit now. And there's still some pretty hefty swells, but it's not quite as choppy as it was. But we're going to be in the Glacier Bay National Park for the day. I don't think we've picked up, at least I have not heard it or seen it this morning. I don't believe we've picked up the Rangers yet. They come out by a boat. So, and I haven't felt that the ship stopped to pick them up. All right, guys, let's go over and see who's in the chat room. I know Kenneth's down in Panama today. Hot Panama. And he's going into town. He and Robin are going into town. That's good. Joanne's here. Good morning, Joanne. She says, happy September. Emily's with us. Good morning to Emily. Mike's here. Hey, Mike. Nikki's with us down in Jacksonville. Greetings from Jacksonville. We had more rain this morning than we had with Adelia. Wow. Well, we've had plenty of rain on this cruise too. We had rain all day yesterday. It was sad. We didn't get, that they thought that there might be, because of all the rain, there might be too much ice and we might not even get to Hubbard Glacier. Well, we actually did get to Hubbard Glacier, but it was rather late last night as I was actually sitting in my solo meetup, which we've got a nice little group. It's not a big group, but, I met some fun people. Some people that I hope will be added to the future cruises with me. But we did eventually get close to Hubbard Glacier, which I would like to see another time in good weather. That glacier, folks, is 6 miles wide. 6 miles wide. Think about that. That's a pretty big glacier. And I don't know how far it goes up the mountain. It's huge. So, but I wasn't outside, so I didn't get any good pictures. Because, I have all sorts of stuff that I'm doing. Oh, well. Gretchen's here. She's out in Ohio. Going to be 78 there today. Wow. Been several days near 90. No rain for at least 8 days. Wow. I'll be glad to get into some warm weather because I have been freezing on this, on the 2 trips. I've got my cabin nice and warm. I've got matter of fact, you can see it on the wall right there. That's my thermostat. And needless to say, it's not on air conditioning. So I've got the cabin pretty comfortable. But when I leave to go to breakfast, which I'm going to do here in the next couple minutes, I'll have to bundle up a little just to get there. So, because you got to go from where I am on the ship, you got to go outside to get to the Lido deck, unless I want to go all the way down, in the hallway and fight the room stewards and their carts and stuff. So yeah, no, I'll put my sweatshirt on or a sweater or a jacket or something to go to breakfast. And then when I go outside today, I'll be bundled up pretty good because it's going to be, it's going to be cold sitting out there for any length of time. Johnny says, Chillie, you are one of the hardest working bloggers. Well, I don't know about that, but I stay pretty busy. How's everything in New Rochelle? Nikki wants to know him. There's Melissa. I was talking about you last night, Melissa. We had one of the gals that was at the solo meetup used to live in Flagstaff. And I said, one of my regulars is in Phoenix. And then one of the other guys that now lives in Chicago was born, where did he tell me? In Tucson, I think. But he was from Arizona too. So I had a couple people from Arizona that I was chatting with. And I mentioned you, Melissa. Melissa's, she and I have cruised before and I had a wonderful time with Melissa and her husband. One time, one cruise it was just Melissa, and then one cruise the hubster was with her. So, but they're great, fun people to cruise with. We had a monsoon last night. The wind and rain and dust was crazy. Wow. Yeah, Arizona. She's from Phoenix, y'all. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go get some breakfast. It's too damn early, and I haven't eaten. And the old fat belly is starting to growl at me. So, I'm going to go up and take part in the buffet before we see what's going to happen today in the Glacier Bay. I'll try to do some live streams over the weekend, but not the new show, because tomorrow I'm in Skagway. Tomorrow's my day to go up for the puppies, and we'll do some, I think we go across there's other things in the tour other than just me playing with Michelle Phillips puppies. And we're having lunch someplace, and I don't know, I'm interested in going to play with the puppies. And then Sunday is my whale day. So I'll have the two major excursions are this weekend when I don't have show scheduled, which that worked out wonderfully. Monday's show, I'll be in Ketchikan. Then Tuesday is the day at sea. Wednesday, I'll be a travel day. But I got to figure out what I'm going to do Wednesday, because I'm not traveling, I think, until Thursday, flying. I don't know. I got to look at my schedule. I can't keep all that stuff straight. I take it when it comes. So anyway, I'll have probably at least one alteration in the show schedule next week for travel, because it's in the middle of the week. But at least this weekend's going to fit in really well. So Melissa says it was wonderful. I really love cruising with you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Go Week. Gretchen says, I'm going to. All right, guys, that's it. I hope everybody has a sensational weekend. Appreciate you being here. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. That'll help me out a bunch. And as always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Y'all have a phenomenal weekend. I know I'm going to, and I'll talk to you real soon. Later, y'all.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry, so if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, chilly chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chilliescruises.